We've been teasing you with our Fearless 40 previews the last several weeks, but in 5 days, Fearless Fridays returned for our local high school football teams here in Central Arkansas. To help me preview a few squads that we cannot wait to see is my buddy, Kyle Sutherland, sports reporter for Natural State Sports. We really appreciate you coming inside the studio and, just taking some of your Sunday out for us, man.
Absolutely. I couldn't be more excited. This is, like many people, for me, it's Christmas Eve, basically. I'm thinking about having some turkey, ham, dressing tonight because that's what it feels like. We're on the eve of a holiday. At least that's what it is to me, and so I couldn't be more excited to get going.
Yeah, man, so are we. And so this is what we're going to do. There's a lot of teams to run through here in the area, so here's what we're going to do. We'll go through Class 7A to 2A, and for each one, I want you to give me a team that will surprise people this season, and then a team that will ultimately win the whole thing for the state finals. Is that cool with you?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. In 7A last season, we nearly had the ultimate state final matchup of Bryant versus Conway, and it would have been spicy with everything surrounding Buck James, as you know, leaving the Hornets. But Bentonville and Fayetteville ended that. Fayetteville runs the table, goes 13-0 to win state. In 7A, Kyle, who's your surprise team and who goes on to win the 7A title?
So the surprise team, I don't know that I would call them a surprise necessarily, but Conway mainly just because they've been to the semifinals for the past 4 years. They did that in Buck James 3 years, of course, under Keith Fimple. So now it's about getting over that hump, getting over the Bryant hump mainly. Right now it's a mental thing because it's been a long time since Conway has beaten them, but I think that they have the tools, even though they've got a lot to replace like many of the other teams do. They've got the tools, I think, and starting with Grayson Wilson, the Arkansas committed quarterback.
I was about to say, Grayson Wilson. I saw him during the 7-on-7 suit out of the South, and he looked very impressive. He's really excited, and he's just trying to build that rapport with that group right now. Moving down to 6A, who will surprise us? I think I already know who's going to end up winning state after what I saw last season.
Yeah, it's hard to say that Greenwood, I mean, to me, and I've said this many times, and I know we'll talk about 5A here in a second, but to me, Parkview and Greenwood, that's probably the two teams that you start of who is the best overall in the state right now in terms of just their roster up from top to bottom. I mean, Greenwood, they've been just a juggernaut for 2 decades basically, but they are the defending 6A champions, and it's hard to imagine really anybody stopping them.
Yeah, 11 state titles for Greenwood since 2000. That's a dynasty if I've ever heard one. Now we head to 5A, like you said, a lot of great teams in this class. Parkview obviously being the most dominant the last 2 seasons, but there's a team you mentioned to me earlier that could make some noise this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you look at Parkview, and especially just with what that they have coming back and then being the back-to-back 5A champions, I think that that's two that you definitely have to take a peek at, or that's one that you have to definitely take a peek at. Another one in Central Arkansas is the Maumelle Hornets. They added over 20 transfers. Brian Maupin knows what success is. You look at what he did and what they did when he was on the staff at Robinson, those state championships and multiple that they contended for. So I think that's probably the team in Central Arkansas that people have their eyes on right now. They play, Parkview and Maumelle in week 2, I believe it is. So we'll get a really good Central Arkansas matchup there. And I think the Hornets have a lot of eyes on them as far as waking a lot of people up in the state of Arkansas.
And Parkview, I believe, is on a 25 game or 27
25
game
in-state.
That is ridiculous.
Or 25 game win streak, that's right, yes.
Still ridiculous for the bevy of talent that they have on that roster. To 4A now, who will shock a lot of people, and what team or teams have your eye on winning the 4A crown?
Well, I think one team that's probably going to shock some is Bauxite. You look at the Saline County teams and you think of Benton in 6A, you think of Bryant in 7A, and then Bauxite. I think that probably they've got the highest expectations since Caleb Perry has been head coach. I would say that. You think about Marcus Wimberly, the do-it-all Oklahoma commit, and they've got plenty of other pieces coming back. Sophomore quarterback Eli Perry. So I think that's probably a team in 4A to really watch out for as maybe a surprise. But I'll tell you, I know that a lot of people are talking about Arkadelphia and Warren with that just incredible offense, and then you think about Arkadelphia with that great defense. So I think those are probably the two that you start with at the top. Bauxite's definitely one in the area, especially to watch.
Definitely excited to see Marcus Wimberly his last season there, and it's a shame that Arkansas couldn't hold on to him. Maybe things will change. The ink hasn't dried. He hasn't signed his NIL yet, so, maybe things will change. Who knows? 2 more classes to go. Let's head to 3A. The question we all want to know, was it or was it not a first down, Kyle? A questionable call towards the end of the 3A championship game last year between Boonville and Prescott, and I'm sure the Curly Wolves have been carrying that weight with them this entire offseason.
Well, they have no doubt, and I think that it was definitely one of those that you look at, and regardless of what side you're on, yes, it was a tough break for Prescott, and that's one thing. It was 73. There was 1:13 left on the clock, and that's something that Coach Glass has talked about, was that everything that they've done this offseason, conditioning, anything, weightlifting, regardless of what it may be, they've done that for 73 more seconds, really put an emphasis on that. So now it's about, not living in the past, not letting what happened in the state final last year beat you more than once, and just understand that this is a new season.
And lastly, to wrap things up, who you got? Surprise team, and who comes out as the 2A state champs in 2024?
Well, you look at Bigelow, and they're the defending state champs, so
right.
You would think, why in the world would they be a surprise team? Well, they lost a lot, and right now everybody's talking about Junction City, rightfully so. You talk about Mineral Springs. There's a few others that you throw in there, but of course Carlisle is one. Carlisle Junction City going to be a big-time matchup there on September 6th, week 1. But I think this Bigelow team, especially with what they've come back from when Luke Starks took over and they had a defeated season, went 0-10. Now they've consistently built that program back up, and I think that even though they've lost a lot, they're still in a prime position to succeed.
That sounds good, man. We cannot wait until Friday night. Me and you will have our hands full on Friday night.
Right.
I will be at War Memorial for the 25th anniversary of the Salt Bowl between Benton and Bryant, and so will you, right?
I will. I'll be calling that for 103.7 The Buzz with R.J. Hawk and Josh Neighbors. Really excited about that. This is one that it's all, I know that it's been in Bryant's favor. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know that a single player for Benton was alive the last time Benton won this game. So it's been a while, but just so great for the Saline County and just both of these schools. So it's always a lot of fun, and I'm very excited to call that one. And then head down to Melissa, Texas to watch them play Parkview on Saturday night. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Packed weekend.
This man has a busy schedule.